Hi, good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock p.m. almost on the dot. I am shocked that they are on time. We do have Trump and the Putin getting together, trying to end this Ukraine war. I predict they are going to possibly have a ceasefire. The war will probably not get ended, but who knows? Let's see. They are just now taking the stage. I wanted to give everybody more time to let this go through a little bit and kick in, but it popped up quicker. They usually never come on at 7 on the dot. It's 6:56 and they're on. So I'm going to stop talking and let y'all get straight to the point. But I hope everybody's having a beautiful night. Stay blessed. And I hope for peace one way or another. God bless. Let's go.
Our negotiations have been held in a constructive atmosphere of mutual respect. We have very thorough negotiations that were quite useful. I would like to thank once again my American counterpart for the proposal to travel out here to Alaska. It only makes sense that we've met here because our countries, though separated by the oceans, are close neighbors. So when we've met, when I came out of the plane and I've said, "Good afternoon, dear neighbor. Very good to see you. In good health and to see you alive." I think that is very neighborly. And I think that's some kind words that we can say to each other. We're separated by the Strait of Bering, though there are 2 islands only between the Russian island and the US island. They're only 4 kilometers apart. We're close neighbors, and it's a fact. It's also important that Alaska has to do with our common heritage, common history between Russia and the US, and many positive events have to do with that territory. Still, there is tremendous cultural heritage back from the Russian America. For example, Orthodox churches and a lot of more than 700 geographical names of Russian origin. During the Second World War, it was here in Alaska that was the origin of the legendary air bridge for the supply of military aircraft and other equipment under the Lend-Lease program. It was a dangerous and treacherous route over the vast emptiness of ice. However, the pilots of both countries did everything to bring closer the victory. They risked their lives and they gave it all for the common victory. I was just in the city of Magadan in Russia, and there is a memorial there dedicated to the Russian and the US pilots. And there are 2 flags, the US flag and the Russian flag. And I know that here as well, there is such a memorial. There is a military burial place several kilometers away from here. The Soviet pilots that buried there who died during that dangerous mission. We're thankful to the citizens and the government of the US for carefully taking care of their memory. I think that's very worthy and noble. We'll always remember other historical examples when our countries defeated common enemies together in the spirit of battle camaraderie and allyship that supported each other and facilitated each other. I'm sure that this heritage will help us rebuild and foster mutually beneficial and equal ties at this new stage, even during the hardest conditions. It is known that there have been no summits between Russia and the US for 4 years, and that's a long time. This time was very hard for bilateral relations, and let's be frank, they've fallen to the lowest point since the Cold War. I think that's not benefiting our countries and the world as a whole. It is apparent that sooner or later we have to amend the situation to move on from the confrontation to dialogue. And in this case, a personal meeting between the heads of state has been long overdue. Naturally, under the condition of serious and painstaking work, and this work has been done in general. Me and President Trump have very good direct contact. We've spoken multiple times. We spoke frankly on the phone. And special envoy of the president, Mr. Witkoff, traveled out to Russia several times. Our advisors and heads of foreign ministries kept in touch all the time. And you know fully well that one of the central issues was the situation around Ukraine. We see the strive of the administration and President Trump personally to help facilitate the resolution of the Ukrainian conflict, and his strive to get to the crux of the matter, to understand this history, is precious. As I've said, the situation in Ukraine has to do with fundamental threats to our security. Moreover, we've always considered the Ukrainian nation, and I've said it multiple times, a brotherly nation. However strange it may sound in these conditions, we have the same roots, and everything that's happening is a tragedy for us and terrible wound. Therefore, the country is sincerely interested in putting an end to it. At the same time, we're convinced that in order to make the settlement lasting and long-term, we need to eliminate all the primary roots, the primary causes of that conflict. And we've said it multiple times, to consider all legitimate concerns of Russia and to reinstate a just balance of security in Europe and in the world on the whole. And I agree with President Trump, as he has said today, that naturally the security of Ukraine should be ensured as well. Naturally, we are prepared to work on that. I would like to hope that the agreement that we've reached together will help us bring closer that goal and will pave the path towards peace in Ukraine. We expect that Kiev and European capitals will perceive that constructively and that they won't throw a wrench in the works. They will not make any attempts to use some backroom dealings to conduct provocations to torpedo the nascent progress. Incidentally, when the new administration came to power, bilateral trade started to grow. It's still very symbolic. Still, we have a growth of 20%. As I've said, we have a lot of dimensions for joint work. It is clear that the U.S. and Russian investment and business cooperation has tremendous potential. Russia and the U.S. can offer each other so much in trade, digital, high-tech, and in space exploration. We see that Arctic cooperation is also very possible, and our international context, for example, between the Far East of Russia and the West Coast of the US. Overall, it's very important for our countries to turn the page, to go back to cooperation. It is symbolic that not far away from here, the border between Russia and the US, there is a so-called international date line. I think you can step over, literally, from yesterday into tomorrow. And I hope we'll succeed in that, in political sphere. I would like to thank President Trump for our joint work, for the well-wishing and trustworthy tone of our conversation. It's important that both sides are result-oriented, and we see that the President of the U.S. has a very clear idea of what he would like to achieve. He sincerely cares about prosperity of his nation. Still, he understands that Russia has its own national interests. I expect that today's agreements will be the starting point, not only for the solution of the Ukrainian issue, but also will help us bring back business-like and pragmatic relations between Russia and the US. And in the end, I would like to add one more thing. I'd like to remind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then, that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good business-like and trustworthy contact. And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. That was very profound. And I will say that I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite got there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate. And I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting. It's ultimately up to them. They're going to have to agree with what Marco and Steve and some of the great people from the Trump administration who've come here, Scott and John Radcliffe. Thank you very much. But we have some of our really great leaders. They've been doing a phenomenal job. We also have some tremendous Russian business representatives here. And I think, you know, everybody wants to deal with us. We've become the hottest country anywhere in the world in a very short period of time. And we look forward to that. We look forward to dealing. We're going to try and get this over with. We really made some great progress today. I've always had a fantastic relationship with President Putin, with Vladimir. We had many tough meetings, good meetings. We were interfered with by the Russia hoax that made it a little bit tougher to deal with, but he understood it. I think he's probably seen things like that during the course of his career. He's seen it all, but we had to put up with the Russia hoax. He knew it was a hoax, and I knew it was a hoax, but what was done was very criminal. But it made it harder for us to deal as a country in terms of the business and all of the things that we'd like to have dealt with. But we'll have a good chance when this is over. So just to put it very quickly, I'm going to start making a few phone calls and tell them what happened. But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there. I would like to thank President Putin and his entire team, whose faces, who I know in many cases, otherwise, other than that, whose faces I get to see all the time in the newspapers. You're almost as famous as the boss, but especially this one right over here. But we had some good meetings over the years, right? Good, productive meetings over the years, and we hope to have that in the future. But let's do the most productive one right now. We're going to stop really 5, 6, 7,000, thousands of people a week from being killed, and President Putin wants to see that as much as I do. So, again, Mr. President, I'd like to thank you very much, and we'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening. Thank you very much, Vladimir. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, wow. So this is what we just watched there, statements from Trump and Putin. Putin speaking first, no questions taken by reporters gathered there in the summit venue in Anchorage. So this was not expected in any joint press conference setting. You anticipate, you expect the principals, the leaders on hand will take questions from the press. They did not just do that here. President Trump saying that the meetings were productive, some things were agreed to, but not the thing that they came for. Putin saying that the conversations were productive here. So in the meantime, we do have to get into more of these conversations here because this is quite something. Let's go back out live to our vantage point there. And we have Hal Kempfer still standing by here. We're going to bring him into the conversation in just a moment. But in the meantime, like I said, this was not expected. This was very, very surprising. Hal Kempfer joining us right now again. Hal, your initial thoughts. I don't think anyone expected this. I'm still struck by the fact that it ended that abruptly. Remember, we were told this was going to be happening in about 30 minutes time. It was moved up. You were speaking on the fact that presumably it was moved up because there was some progress. There was some good signs being made. What did you hear from Putin and Trump? And why did Putin get to speak first, Hal?
That actually surprised me, Andrew. I think the reason that Putin spoke first is because we didn't hear we heard a lot of flattering. We heard a lot of, broad comments, talking about Lend-Lease in World War II, or the support for Russia with the U.S. and that we once were allies in the war, against the Axis powers. And what I heard was a lot of, well, I'm going to just say very flowery language coming out of Putin. And it kind of left me scratch my head, which is, why is he doing this? And as I kept listening to Putin, I wasn't hearing a lot of substance. I wasn't hearing, key points. I really didn't hear the outline of an agreement to speak of. And then he was done. And, President Trump said his stuff. And again, he said there was agreement on some parts. I am hoping that we're going to get some sort of communique or something that gives us a kind of clearer idea of what they actually agreed to, because frankly, from the speech, it wasn't clear to me at all. They said there was a reference to stopping thousands of people dying every week. Okay, does that mean that we have a ceasefire? And if it is a ceasefire or an offer for a ceasefire from Russia, what does that consist of? And it could be that Russia's saying, yeah, we'll have a ceasefire. Ukraine pulls back from, the 4 oblasts that are still being contested and gives us that terrain, and there'll be a ceasefire. That would be something that, I could see Putin putting out there, because he's already said that before, in which case there was nothing agreed to. So I don't know what it was. I was kind of left a little flat with that, and I was hoping that reporters' questions would really start to open the door, get into the details. And then I was like you. I was a little bit struck by the fact they didn't take any reporters' questions. We talked about the fact that Putin was going to have a tough time with Western reporters asking very frank, direct questions, because that's not what he's used to. And I'm assuming that they just came to some sort of mutual agreement that said we won't take any questions from reporters. Obviously, that makes Putin feel very good.
Do you think it was mutual? Or was that a Kremlin request?
I think it has to be mutual. Well, I don't know if Trump ever said that, but I could see Putin saying, look, I don't want to take these reporters' questions. And in order not to break the rapport, in order not to create a very tense, uncomfortable situation, they decided better not to take any questions at all than to take questions that would upset whatever positive energy is coming from this thing. Again, I listened to him. I cannot figure out what they actually agreed to. And frankly, he says, I'm going to get on the phone and call President Zelensky. Is there an offer for another meeting? I'm not even quite sure. Is there going to be another summit after this? I'm thinking there is.
Okay.
But again, it sounds like he kind of tossed that into President Zelensky's court as to where it is. I would really hate to see President Trump go to Moscow. He said he'd be in hot water. Oh, he'd be in a lot of hot water. I think he would have significant, huge international political repercussions, but I think the domestic political repercussions would be pretty significant as well.
Okay, so Hal, we're still looking at this live venue there, our shot. I want to put this up for viewers. Meg Kennard, our colleague and friend at the Associated Press, with the AP Dateline and Filing. Putin says he and Trump have reached an understanding on Ukraine, warns Europe not to torpedo the nascent progress. I heard that. I heard the threats, you could call them that, to Ukraine and Europe, essentially not to get in the way, not to interfere. There was also, this was imbued entirely, almost from an economic standpoint. You heard a lot of Putin say the opportunities for investment, the opportunities to work together on our economies. That was something that I noted as well. So what we want to do right now, we do want to bring into the conversation more voices. Hal, stay with us. Alongside myself here in the Live Now newsroom, my colleague Austin Westfall as well in the newsroom, Hal Kempfer too, and Timothy Narazzi there with the Washington Examiner. So Timothy, I'm going to ask you this first. Is there a purposeness in how vague all of this was, do you think? Is there a strategy behind the vagueness of what was just said there?
Well, without knowing what the actual specifics of the agreement or lack of agreement were, we're only speculating, but I don't think it sounds good. If there was major breakthroughs happening, if there were agreements being struck, and if there was a clear path to peace right now, I think that would be something that they'd make a little bit more apparent and I think they'd be a little more open to say questions after the press conference, things like that. There was a bit of a strange disconnect between Putin's rhetoric, which seemed more positive than Trump's. While Trump did pay some lip service to the idea that it was a very productive meeting and things like that, it was Putin that seemed to sort of gesture towards a agreement underway or a better understanding of how to move forward. Trump, from what I know, it said there's no deal until there's a deal, and seemed to downplay that aspect. So I think the vagueness is the message. I don't know that we can expect any sort of major breakthroughs from this.
Okay, so we still are looking live in the vantage point of the venue. Timothy, what did you make? No questions. I mean, that was kind of the main event we were all waiting for. We wanted to see the interplay between Trump and Putin. We wanted them to engage with the press corps, traveling with them. They didn't do it. Why?
I was particularly disappointed because my wife was in that press poll. I was really hoping to get to see her ask a question. But I think on a grander level, it was a little disappointing because we wanted to see that something was moving, that something was being accomplished, and that there was a greater sense of transparency about this. Not in the sense of backroom dealings or anything, but in the sense of what actually was accomplished. Has any ground been broken, or is this simply just another meeting that Putin shows up to, makes some nice remarks, then immediately walks them back the second he's out of the meeting? We haven't really seen anything from that press conference that gives any sort of indication that there's going to be a meaningful change in the dynamic.
Yeah, we're just watching some of this from earlier as the world leaders there gathered on the tarmac in Anchorage. What did you make of kind of the pomp and the circumstance, the symbolism of that, Timothy?
I think it was a gesture of seriousness on America's part, and the literal red carpet, which can be pretty standard procedure, but the red carpet and the flyover and the media opportunities, it was clearly a gesture of seriousness about approaching the discussion with sincere hopes for coming to some sort of ceasefire agreement, something to show that there is a path forward to ending the bloodshed. And it seems as though those might not have worked. They might not have been enough to get Putin to take the negotiations as seriously as Trump had hoped. We have yet to see what Trump's attitude is going to be like in 24 hours. He himself has previously said that he goes to a meeting with Putin. He thinks that everything is going great. He thinks that they've reached some sort of understanding, and then he turns on the TV and a hospital has been bombed. So we're going to see what Russia does in the next 24 hours on the battlefield and how Trump responds to that.
Timothy, what did you make of this moment here? Traveling together in the beast. You could make the argument that this was the only time today that they were alone.
Yeah, to be a fly on the wall in that car, I mean, who knows what sort of discussions happened in there. But I'm immediately reminded of Putin's visit to North Korea, where he drove the car with Kim Jong-un, and he seems to be quite photogenic when it comes to getting into cars with fellow foreign leaders. It was an interesting photo opportunity, and I think it displayed some sense of, gesture towards friendship. And that's something that Putin alluded to during his press conference. But, did Trump find out in the back of that car that Putin wasn't serious? Did he get the inkling? As Secretary of State Marco Rubio previously said ahead of the summit, the United States went into this expecting to understand if Putin was serious not long into the proceedings. So, who's to say if in the back of that car, Trump didn't realize that he was already dealing with someone that was not willing to negotiate in good faith?
Timothy, Austin Westfall here. Trump said during the press conference that he's going to call up NATO. He's going to call up the people who are appropriate. What questions do you have about what Trump says to NATO next and what those conversations are going to entail?
Well, the main question is, what were those tenets that they couldn't agree on? Trump alluded to big things that they couldn't quite get an agreement on. And Putin alluded to the, quote, root causes of the conflict. Root causes traditionally has been Putin's sleight of hand for the non-negotiable objectives of the Russian state. Changes of government in Ukraine, massive amounts of territory eaten up by Russia, a lack of security infrastructure for Ukraine, whether that's in NATO or otherwise. These quote, root causes are the very fundamental reason that they are at the war. And they're things that Ukraine is not willing to negotiate on. So if those root causes are the big disagreements that Trump alluded to, I doubt that NATO or Ukraine or anyone is going to want to sign on to that. But again, the details of this have yet to be seen, so who knows exactly.
So, Hal, you had mentioned before the press conference that you anticipated that Trump would lead it off. That's something that he just naturally does. That wasn't what we saw, though, Hal.
It was absolutely not what we saw, and I think that's because, frankly, there was some progress. It's very vague as to what it is, but I think the reason that they let Putin kick it off was because, in Putin's language, was kind of flowery, if you will. It was just kind of a recounting of long relationship and rebuilding relationship and stuff like that. But there were some things to take out of that. And I think the things that, and this was kind of a concern, was that Putin would do misdirection. And when I started hearing the stuff about, economic things and stuff like that, that's a classic Putin play, if you will, which is to talk about all these other economic things and avoid the core issue. And the core issue, for the whole reason for this summit, is the war in Ukraine. It's not about U.S. trade. It's not about trade opportunities with Russia. It's nothing like that. It's about Ukraine. And I kind of feel that, at least in that press conference, that Putin got a chance to kind of do a little misdirection, if you will. I'm just kind of curious what actually happened in the meeting itself. But the fact that I didn't hear any major substantive achievement specifically, mentioned in either of the remarks tells me that maybe this feel-out thing was just that. It was a feel-out thing. I'm not even quite sure if they're going to have another meeting after this, a trilateral thing with Zelensky. It was kind of some inference that might happen, but then he's saying he's got to call President Zelensky, and which is the right thing to do. But it just didn't have that feeling of momentum that I would have expected if the meeting went really well. Yeah. A lot of equivocation going on.
It was very muted, quite unusual and unorthodox for President Trump, at least. Unusual in the fact that Putin did go first with speaking in his remarks. I want to put this up. And at the very tail end, there was some kind of tongue-in-cheek humor about a potential Trump visit to Moscow. Philip Wegman there at Real Clear Politics. Trump telling Putin at the end of the Anchorage summit, "We will probably see you again very soon." Putin interjects, "Maybe next time in Moscow." Trump calls that an interesting one, adding, "You get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening." So I think at the bottom of the hour, we're going to replay this all for our viewers, because I just have to make note. We were anticipating 60 to 90 minutes for this press conference, and it ended up being about 12 minutes. And that just goes to show you, like I said, the vagueness that was going on, the words, agreement, mutual understanding, substantive. Yes, those are good in diplomacy. But Timothy, to your point also, what did you make of Putin opining on his previous interactions with Joe Biden? He took a dig at Biden, didn't he?
I think that standard Putin behavior takes a jab at Trump's noted enemy. I use it as an opportunity to talk Trump up. He mentioned how if Trump was in office, the war wouldn't have happened, and how he agrees with that, how he can confirm that is true. Who knows whether that's true or not? That's clearly Putin trying to cater to Trump's ego, and that worked the first couple of times. I'm not sure that this time Trump is going to be charmed again. Again, this is the umpteenth time that they've spoken. Yes, the first time face to face. And Trump came into this rather jaded in the press, talking about how disappointed he was with Putin, how Putin is tapping him along, how this is going to be Putin's final chance before some sort of serious sanction or other penalty. I don't think Trump's buying it. I don't think Trump is going to be charmed just by Putin taking a pot shot at his enemy.
So I got to ask you guys, Hal, when we were previewing this event for the past week, we talked about how big of a deal this event was going to be. Now the event's over. Is that it? Do they pack up? Do they go home now? Does Putin go back to Russia? Does Trump go back to D.C.? Is there nothing else going on?
Austin, that's kind of how I'm feeling about it. It's just over. It wasn't much. They met I actually think there was more learned about watching them getting to the same car to drive into to the venue than there was from the press conference. I just didn't really get much out of it. It was all platitudes, and it's great to do this. A slight little dig at Biden. Just classic Putin, though. I mean, he's a human intelligence guy, and so he was trying to stroke President Trump's ego by taking a shot at his, political opponent from the last campaign, his predecessor in office, and sure, okay, that's what Putin does, but I just didn't hear much coming out of it, and I kind of feel the same way, which is that it? Is that all that's going to come out of this? What's going to be interesting is to see the headlines tomorrow, so to speak. I know it's kind of a dated term, but it'll be curious to see once this thing has kind of settled into the body politic, and enough people have weighed in on this to see what people are saying about this tomorrow. But I don't think anybody's going to be calling this a wildly successful summit. I just don't see that happening. In fact, I'm kind of curious if other than the White House, I'm kind of curious who's going to call it a successful summit, because it just didn't really achieve, at least from what we know now, or at least what we know, unless something else comes out, it just didn't seem to really achieve much substantive, anything of substance that came out of it. I'm a little, I don't know, I'm a little disappointed with how this came out.
I think that's the overall prevailing sentiment after I think everyone is over the shock of no questions at the press conference that was touted over the last 48 hours. Anticlimactic, I think, is the term a lot of people are using. And we had gone into this, remember, Timothy, Hal, and Austin, that expectations were low. And it seemed like that expectation setting was on purpose for a point, because now we know how this has all gone here. I just have to ask, though, Hal, Timothy, to you guys, one of the main points of meeting in the first place was to get another meeting, possibly between Putin and Zelensky. That achievable was not met. Timothy?
I mean, Putin made the suggestion, as you pointed out at the end, seemingly tongue-in-cheek, maybe not, that the next meeting can be in Moscow. I think that when I heard that, my immediate thought was, well, Zelensky wouldn't be there. So I read that as a sort of dig at the possibility of future meetings, and maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but Putin doesn't say things for no reason. He always has some sort of message, whether it's explicit or implicit. And the hope was that after this meeting, Trump came into this meeting saying it, the hope was that after this meeting, there would be a very quick turnaround and then a meeting with both Putin and Zelensky with Trump. And Putin suggesting the next meeting is in Moscow, to me, sounds like Zelensky will not be included in that meeting if it were to happen. I'm not sure how Trump is going to respond to that. Again, that was his own desire, was to get Zelensky in the room. That wasn't Zelensky badgering Trump. So if Putin is talking like that, I can't imagine that Trump is feeling very good about the prospect for future meetings.
Timothy, clarify something for the audience. We were watching when we were waiting for Putin and Trump to come out. We saw the pool of press that was there in the room. This is a big undertaking, moving the White House press pool, the world's press, to this one room in order to presumably hold a press conference and ask some questions. You mentioned the idea of your wife being in the room. They are moving all of those reporters there in anticipation of reporters being able to ask questions, correct? That was our understanding.
It was always rather vague, but when you announce a joint press conference and the press is going to be present, I don't think it's that big of a leap in logic to expect that the press will then get to ask a question or two. Now, granted, the language issue exists, Russian and English at the same time, but that's never stopped any sort of joint press conference between world leaders. And again, the expectations for this meeting have ebbed and flowed so much over the last couple of days that no one was really sure what to expect. Everyone hoped for a long press conference with lots of questions from journalists, both American and Russian. I know that there are Russian journalists there, which I don't know why the Kremlin would encourage or allow that sort of thing to happen unless there was some possibility of questions being asked. It's a very big hassle for journalists to get all the way out there, and yeah, it does end up being a massive disappointment. But who's to say why exactly things fell apart?
You Hal, I wanted to bring up this also. One of the concerns with some of Trump's critics, at least, was that he was going to be taken in by Putin's flattery. Putin was trying. He also mentioned that in agreement with President Trump and candidate Trump, saying all along during the campaign, this war would have never started if he were president at the time. Putin publicly agreed with that sentiment. How did Trump approach him from a body language perspective? Did he keep him at arm's length? Did he embrace him? Was he skeptical? Could you tell? Could you read his face, Trump?
It was interesting. I thought it was actually warmer at the beginning and not as much at the end. And even though President Trump was smiling and nodding, and they were trying to definitely make it look like there was good rapport between the two, I didn't really get a sense looking at the body language. And I don't claim to be the expert on body language, although as you know, in some of the counterterrorism training that I've done, we do address body language. I kind of thought that President Trump.
Wow, I'm just sitting here ranting. You can't even hear me. First off, I probably watched just as much stuff as this dude talking right now. And my opinion is, if you saw Trump's body language right away, I'm not no body language expert either, but he was definitely pissed. He wasn't happy. They clearly didn't make a deal. It sounded like to me when Putin told Trump, yeah, next time it could be in Moscow, is basically saying, I'm not coming back here until you get your stuff right. So clearly they didn't have a deal. Trump was not happy. So yeah, I don't really know what really came out of this positive at all. I'm the body language expert when it comes to hot chicks. Hey, I hear you, bro. Yeah, if it was like the president of Mexico, I would have known, you know what I'm saying? But it seemed like to me they were on some gangster stuff. I really want to tell you my true opinion, but I don't know how much YouTube will really like it, honestly. I don't know how much YouTube will really appreciate my true opinion on what I think Trump and Putin were talking about and did in that limousine when they were private. I do know that Trump, I'm going to say this as undercover as I possibly can, but I do know that Trump is a arm weapons dealer. Yeah. I wonder if they were just talking some business. I don't know. What else could they possibly be saying? And there's no possible way that Trump really. This is a world stage, you guys. This was just honestly. This reminds me of the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. All that hype for us to sit there and do nothing. Personally, so that was really dumb. That was really dumb. But they was asking each other's opinions on the new Kanye album. Who was? I don't know what that means, bro. I don't know what that means. But yeah, this stream was dumb, dude. This was probably one of the biggest wasted times other than I think this happened before. It was stupid, dude. It was really dumb. Nobody even came up. YouTube's on bullshit. I'm almost at the point now that it was very disappointing, Sean. It really was. Very anticlimactic, just like everything else is. All this is. It's all anticlimactic at this point. Yeah, I know. All of it. Trump and Putin was, YouTube is. No, bro. Yeah, I don't know how many more streams I'm going to be doing, though, you guys. I swear to you not. I probably won't be doing many more streams. I'm not paying to get up and waste and use my energy. I have to pay to do shows for you guys, and that's becoming a headache for me. So I don't know if I'm gonna be doing that shit again. I know, bro. Alaska got dumped on, bro. They got shitted on. No, dude, it went successful as far as Alaska goes. Nothing crazy happened that I know of. You know what I'm saying? Nothing really crazy happened. You know, but clearly they didn't make a deal. Clearly this wasn't going to end after the first day he was president. Nothing ever did. But, you know, do I go on a rant? Do I go on a Trump rant on why he doesn't get shit done other than these illegals? You know, because that's what I want to do at this point, wasting my damn time. Everything about this dude is a waste of fucking time at this point. Every fucking thing I do that involves Trump seems to be a waste of fucking time. Everything that dude said goes in one fucking side of his mouth and comes out the other. I swear to you, dude, he's a waste of fucking breath. I'm sick and tired of hearing his shit. I'm sick and tired of it. He's still walking around with his head up high, calling himself Grandfather Moderna. Hey, Trump, you do realize that you are the deep state, right? Is it time I fucking call it out? Because I'm annoyed enough that this could be my last one anyways. I don't give a shit. But Trump, you do know you are the deep state too, right, bro? Marco Rubio at your side? Marco Rubio? Lindsey Graham, bro? Lindsey fucking Graham? Jared Kushner? Trump, your allegiance to fucking Israel makes me sick. What about America, bro? Your allegiance to any other country is disgusting, bro. Man, fuck that pillow guy. But we're not allowed to talk about this, though. We're not allowed to talk about your allegiance to Israel, but yet you're a politician in America. But that's okay. Oh, no, you can laugh. But so is Nancy Pelosi, Newsome, and all the rest of the Democrats, too. That's what makes us all a joke, is they're all fucking have the same allegiance. And it ain't to this damn shit. Clearly, no damn allegiance to us. Who? What have you done? Trump, what has Trump done to bend over backwards for the people that support him for the last 12 years or something, 10 years? No, I'm not high enough for this shit, Alienate. I've just smoked one fucking bowl. Exactly, Alien. You get it? I'm not. I'm sick and tired of this shit. Everybody screamed and cried for the Epstein list. I don't give a fuck about that list. But I will say this. He did promise the goddamn list. Sorry, God. But you did promise a list, dude. Whether I fucking give a shit, whether I care about that fucking list, it came out your fucking mouth that you produced something. You never did. That was something you said more than once. More than once, more than twice, more than 3 times, bro. You said it enough times, bro. You lied. You force-fed and you sped. Oh, what is it called again? Project Warp Speed? Yeah, what's Project Warp Speed, everybody? What was it? Oh, you took something that takes years and you produced it in weeks to months? Oh, and people are dying from it as we speak? Thanks, Father Moderna. Grandfather Moderna. Oh no, you good, bro. I'm just over the bullshit. I'm over everybody sucking Daddy Trump's dick when he hasn't fulfilled one fucking thing I ever wanted. Why is Hillary still walking the streets? Why? Trump, lock her up. Lock her up. Lock her up. You ran on that shit, bro. She's still walking the streets. And you're still bitching about the same emails fucking 10 years later, bro. That means you ain't doing shit. You ain't doing nothing. Hillary isn't going to jail. Obama's not going to fucking jail. You're capped, bro. You're capped. You're a J, dude. You're a J. You're a fucking Israel-loving J, bro. That's what you are. And you're selling out America. It's clear as fuck as day. I'm watching it. I don't care what Ryan thinks. Because I know Ryan don't believe this, but I don't give a fuck. I've always felt this way. I just sit back and watch. And right now, God damn it, I see it. I see it. It's right in front of my fucking face. I watch this shit every day, and Trump's full of shit. And so is everybody else. All you motherfuckers in this politics shit full of shit. Every one of them. Give me a politician that's not. Give me one. Give me one fucking politician that's fucking honest, please. You can't fucking give me one. Fuck Trump. Fuck Biden. Fuck Kamala. Fuck them all. They're all a bunch of fucking Israel fucking loving. Yeah, I can't even say it. They're all liars. Exactly, alienated. They're all fucking liars. You got to have some sort of psychopath to you to want to be a fucking politician, dude. Fuck Diddy too, bruh. You know what I'm saying? You got to have something wrong with you to be a world leader. You want to lead the world. You want to deal with nuclear weapons and destruction. You got something fucking wrong with you. You know? They just threw so much shit at us at one fucking time. Who's to say we're not going to go under fucking martial law? Who's to say that's not in the fucking playbook? Think about it. You want to shut down Texas? You want to fucking shut down LA? You want to shut down Boston? You want to shut down fucking DC? Chicago? Damn, we're damn near at a martial law. That's in the playing cards. I never brought none of this shit up because I literally just sitting back wanting to watch it all happen. This DC shit is crazy to me. Makes sense. Let's clean up the fucking city. I agree. But man, it sounds pretty fucking, it sounds not right. To me, it sounds like some god darn police state shit to me. I don't want to live in a police state. I don't want to live in a police state. I want to live in a state that I can feel safe in. But I don't want to live in a place where I should feel uncomfortable in or people are getting, no. Who the hell is that? What? You're going to go ahead and take people who don't want to live at home and make them go to jail if they don't go to rehab? That was one of the dumbest fucking things you said, Trump. Out of everything you said, that was one dumb fucking thing. Well, what are you going to do with the drug addicts and the homeless? Well, we'll make them get a job and go to rehab, and if not, then they'll go to jail. What the fuck? All right, that's cool if we were in North Korea, bro. Fine. You want to run shit like Putin? Cool. I'm down, but I don't want to live in that shit. What if I decide tomorrow, you know what? I don't like this place no more. I'm going to put my backpack on and I'm going to hike this country and I'm not going to have a fucking house. You going to put me in jail, bro? You guys are conspiracy theorists. What the hell did I stop and watch? They need better. You guys are conspiracy theorists. Man, eat a dick, bro. No, I'm actually a truther, bro. Conspiracy theorists, explain to me, please. I just keep it 100. It's called common fucking sense, stupid. It's called common sense, man. Common sense. What did you stop and watch? Sit back and learn something, dummy. Help me out, please. Help me out. For real, help me out. Every single thing that they've brought on us in the past month has all been bullshit. You don't want all the smoke. Trust me. Bring that smoke, bruh. Here, come up. Tell me what I am, bruh. Here's your link, man. You ain't got no smoke, son. You got to copy and paste it because I don't know why the fuck it ain't let me bring it. Here it is, bro. Come up. Tell me what you got, bro. You don't want that smoke, bro. You don't want this. Trust me. You don't want it, bro. You don't want to get smoked by a conspiracy theorist, do you? Because I clearly want that smoke. Bring it, bro. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Where was the conspiracy in Project Warp Speed? Oh, let me talk about another really, really, really great thing that he did. Oh, wait, what was that shit called? Space Force. Space Force. Oh, yeah, that's a fucking, that is an accomplishment. Space Force. Everybody, motherfucking get your patches on. We got Space Force. Now we're safe. We got fucking Space Force. Man, Trump, come on, bro. I'm waiting for somebody to come up. If you're not going to come up, then you're just pussy. I get it. You're just pussy. But yeah, bro, he's lied to us too much. Too much. And I know I'm just pissed off because I haven't smoked enough and I expected at least a good hour fucking press conference. And I got 12 minutes. And half of it was in fucking Russian. Didn't even understand half the shit that was said. What a joke. What a fucking joke. I don't know, Sean. What the hell was that, dude? Do you guys remember when Zelensky came to America and asked for money during the address of the nation. It might be, JD. At this point, it could be. I think I'm just absolutely finally fed the fuck up. I got a clip from it later to show you, Tim. When they asked Putin if he was going to stop buying civilians, he shrugged his shoulders and laughed. See what I'm saying, bro? So that's what he said, or is that from earlier? I'll look and see if anything ever popped up now. See if anything new popped up. I'll see if anything new popped up. I honestly don't care about whatever else he has to say, to be honest. Like, bro. Yeah, it's a done ditty. I don't know about what you talking about, but I do know I'm about to start ditching these politics here in a minute and getting back to my conspiracies and truth. Because there's a lot of shit going on in the background, and this is just a bunch of shit. This is a waste of our time. Honestly. And by the way, all you Epstein lovers, you do know Bill Clinton's the prime suspect right now in the Epstein stuff, right? You do know that. Look it up. It's fucking hilarious. Anything else worth watching? I'm over here just trying to find something. If there's anything that they're saying that we don't know. Seems like to me it's just all the same bullshit. Nah, not really. Put on South Park? I wish I could, bro. I wish I could, bro. It won't let me. I ain't doing all that. That's crazy talk. That's super crazy talk. Everything else that I would want to show, I would need to probably run it through Serenity first. So I don't get any boost like copyrights and stuff. Like, I wonder what these, anything else? You guys got any other interesting stuff? I want to rant about this. I'm just not that baked, and I literally expected to get baked while I was watching this, and it gave me nothing but blue balls. There's an active shooter in Maine. There's an active shooter in Maine. Well, you assholes made me eat those gummies. Yeah, woke is dead. Shoot, I'm about to beat woke. Bro, I'm so annoyed right now with all that crap. Honestly, I think all the politicians at this point are just trash. I think I'm disappointed right now in more than just our politicians, dude. I'm disappointed in more than just our politicians. I'm disappointed in a lot of shit right now when it comes to all this. I really am. Do you know what would be fun to watch? All right, I'm gonna put this on and see what they have to say, just because I'm not gonna sit here and rant. Let me see what these cats gotta say. All right, hold on, guys. It could last a minimum of 6 to 7 hours. My ass, bro. My ass. 6 to 7 hours.
Ukraine. The working lunch with the expanded delegation has not started yet, and the Kremlin says the talks could last for a minimum of 6 to 7 hours. Brett Baier was on Air Force One with President Trump, and here's a preview of that interview airing at 6 p.m.
That's how you know this did not go well. If the talks were supposed to be for between 5 to 7 hours and they were out and early, like, yo, I was expecting to do at least a half hour of content before they came out, and they were out before I could get set up. So that tells you right away that they were not communicating.
So what are your expectations? I mean, is the goal of this meeting in Alaska to walk away with a ceasefire?
I'd like to see a ceasefire. I wouldn't be thrilled if I didn't get it, but everyone says you're not going to get the ceasefire. It'll take place on the second meeting. The second meeting is going to be but I'm not going to be happy with that. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to be, I won't be happy if I walk away without some form of a ceasefire.
Now, Brett Baier joins us live from Anchorage, Alaska. Brett, great to see you. And you've been on Air Force One a number of times, but it looked like today you had some special access.
Yeah, I definitely did, Katie. Great to see you and all of you. Usually whenever I traveled on Air Force One, I was back in the pool section where the reporters sit. Today was a little bit more up front, as I'm showing you there on the hallways next to the cabin.
Brian, is there anything new? Because I know, like they said, these people are supposed to come on. Is there anybody on live right now?
Room and the office obviously was the place for the interview. And listen, the president says he really wants a ceasefire. He'd be not happy if it wasn't a ceasefire. I don't think he'd be happy with the Kremlin's characterization of 6 to 7 hours. He's not ready for 6 to 7 hours of this. I think he wants to get an assessment of Putin, really see if he can get something done, and then move on to the second meeting whenever they can schedule that, and hopefully soon. I just want to point out that the biggest moment, and Air Force One is just over my shoulder here in the back at Elmendorf Richardson. The biggest moment here was when the two leaders walked out, and at that moment they shake hands and walk down the red carpet, and then the B-2 bomber flies over. And just the imagery of that and the sound they both look up at it. And then to think that just recently, weeks ago, B-2 bombers made that 36-hour trek from Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri to drop bombs, bunker buster bombs on the Iranian nuclear facilities. It carries a message, and it carried a message, I think, today symbolically.
You know, Brett, it's so amazing to watch these images and to think, this meeting hadn't been on the books that long. It was only a 6-hour flight, and apparently about an hour of it was taken up with talking to you. It's amazing the amount of stagecraft that goes into this stuff, and you can't help but wonder, because it is so on point, as it always is with Trump, is all this stagecraft completely directed by him personally? Did you get a sense of how much of an effort went into that?
Charlie, I think you're north of 80%. He talked about calling up the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and saying, I want these F-22s and the B-2 and a flyover, and all of that was in his mind. I mean, he is not only a real estate developer, but also a TV guy who I think plays for the dramatic moment, and he created a dramatic moment. Now, if he's creating the moment behind the scenes like he created in front, they could have some success here. I'll tell you, there was this sense of optimism, guys. There really was this, and I've listened to the pessimism, and maybe Putin is not a guy to trust ever, but the president really thinks that that Putin's back is up against the wall economically, and that he eventually wants to get out of this war.
Well, that's actually what I was going to ask you about, Brett. You had unprecedented access to the world's most powerful man before this all-important summit, sitting there together on Air Force One. We've seen clips already throughout the day in about 39 minutes. We'll get to see the interview on Special Report. But give me a sense of his attitude. I hear you saying he was optimistic. Did you give me a sense on, I know he wants to find a second meeting and he needs a framework to get to that second meeting. Do you have any details at all of what that could mean for President Trump?
Well, you know, we talked in the last hour about how much setup really went into this, and obviously the drama and painting the picture all went to Trump. But, you know, he sent Steve Witkoff, his negotiator, who has been dealing with the Middle East, but also with Russia, 6 times. And there were personal meetings with Putin. They got along. The chief negotiator on the Russian side talked nonstop to Steve Witkoff, to the point where I talked to him on the plane. He said he talked to the guy, the Russian, yesterday, 6 times yesterday, as they were setting this up. So it's hard to believe that they don't have some framework heading in to get somewhere. And whether they can get there without either one walking away, we're now almost at 2 hours behind the scenes. So one would think it's at least moving forward.
Hey, Brett, it's Jesse. Fabulous coverage thus far. The plane looks awesome. I have never been on there. I've been on the TV screen on there, but not live. I'm curious if you have a sense of how President Trump is feeling about Zelensky at this moment, if all fences have been mended from the Oval Office blow up, and if he is really in sync with the other NATO partners right now in terms of what they're looking for if we can get to a deal.
Yeah, that's a great question. But first of all, I want to point out that I asked the Hillary Clinton
I know,
question
and I DM'd
from your
you
podcast.
saying, you rock. That was so generous of you.
Okay.
And if she has to nominate him for a
just want it
Nobel, we are
noted.
all going to die, basically.
Okay. That's right. It's a great question that you ask. I think he had a number of good meetings. He had a great meeting with Zelensky in the Vatican. He had a couple of great phone calls where, in his words, they were really succinct and kind of, he thought he got through to Zelensky. But then Zelensky came back and said, as they were getting push comes to shove of what he's willing to do, that he didn't have the constitutional authority to talk about land swaps or how that was going to work. And, you know, the president got frustrated, saying, you've been at this for 3 years. I mean, why don't you have the authority to do that? So there was frustration. I don't think he, you know, loves Zelensky as far as his interactions, but he appreciates what he's been through and the fact that he's held off the Russians for as long as he has. I think the bottom line is the president really wants to get this over with, like the war over with. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, the First Lady, Melania Trump, is instrumental in talking about some of the death inside Kyiv, and has had an impact in talking about, after phone calls that were positive with Putin, the missiles hitting kids and women.
Yeah, that's also a story I'm sure we will see more of. Brett, watching your coverage today has been amazing. Thank you.
Here's the interview that he did on Air Force One. I'll show this. If there's anything else that pops up, I'll show it. But then I'll end it.
Force One during the trip here from Washington, a trip that started early this morning at Joint Base Andrews. President just boarded Air Force One. We're getting ready to go on. We'll be on the flight for 6 hours. We'll do the interview on there, and then we'll see you at special report in Anchorage on the other side. Soon after takeoff, President Trump decided to gaggle with pool reporters.
You had said earlier this week that Putin would face severe consequences if you get the sense from him that he's not interested. What do you mean by that?
Economically severe. Yes, it will be very severe. I'm not doing this for my health, okay? I don't need it. I'd like to focus on our country, but I'm doing this to save a lot of lives. Yeah, very severe. Thank you very much, everybody.
You like doing those things?
It's almost like a competition. It's like winning at golf. You know, they're coming in. Every question is a kill. They hope you're going to make a mistake. They're looking, and they had a field day with Biden. That's why he didn't do it.
But you're making it news there?
I don't think so. Nothing. I always go out. I say, is there breaking news? In other words, when I leave, if there's breaking news, that's a bad thing. That means they got me on something. Let's go.
After you.
He's a good golfer, everybody.
We started after a short break for a call with a world leader in the president's office on board. You just had me in the office here, and you had a phone call with the leader from Belarus, Lukashenko, and you talked about this meeting. Can I ask you what he told you about the possibilities?
Well, I really called him to thank him. He released 16 prisoners, and it was a very nice thing. They've been trying to get these 16 people out for a long time. Biden was obviously unable to do it. Even other countries, because it's not just Americans. And he was great. He let them out, and I just called to thank him. And believe it or not, there's about 1,300 more, and I think he'll let them out too at some point in the very near future.
And what about his thoughts about this meeting that you're going to in Alaska?
He was very positive about it. He's friends with President Putin, as you know, very, very close neighbors. And they work together. And he thinks that President Putin wants to make a deal. He wants to stop this horrible killing. He mentioned it himself. He said it's a horrible situation. And he said he has great respect for me and for the country, but he didn't have a lot of respect for our country under a certain different leader. And I can understand that because nobody else did either.
So what are your expectations? I mean, is the goal of this meeting in Alaska to walk away with a ceasefire?
So when you talk about deals, it's all I do. My whole life, I do deals. You never know. You don't like to have too many expectations. You want it because you have to weave and bob and you don't know what's going to happen. But we're going to go and find out. I'd like to see a ceasefire. I wouldn't be thrilled if I didn't get it, but everyone says you're not going to get the ceasefire. It'll take place on the second meeting. The second meeting is going to be but I'm not going to be happy with that. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to be, I won't be happy if I walk away without some form of a ceasefire. Now, I say this, and I've said it from the beginning, this is really setting the table today. We're going to have another meeting if things work out, which will be very soon. Or we're not going to have any more meetings at all, maybe ever.
Don't you sense that Putin comes to this table maybe in an economic pinch, and that maybe the things you've already done have put him in an economic pitch? Is there an economic side to this, as Russia hoping to open up to the world?
Well, he lost an oil client, so to speak, which is India, which was doing about 40% of the oil. China, as you know, is doing a lot. And others, I have another few countries. And if I did what's called a secondary sanction or a secondary tariff, it would be, very devastating from their standpoint. If I have to do it, I'll do it. Maybe I won't have to do it.
He's coming, though, with the thought that maybe there's going to be a deal on the economy. He's coming with businessmen and...
Yeah, they're bringing a lot of people. Over 500 people are coming. A lot of them are businessmen. And what they really would like to do is, look, we built in a short period of time the greatest economy ever. I had the 4 greatest years ever as an economy, and this is going to blow it away. We're doing well. We were a dead country. And I say this often. I'll say it loud and clear. We were a dead country a year ago, a dead country, not respected by anybody. We had inflation at levels that we had never had before. They say 48 years. I say it was worse than ever before.
So if you were to paint a picture of what perfect looks like coming out of Alaska today, what does that look like in your mind?
Look, it's not for me to negotiate a deal for Ukraine, but I can certainly set the table to negotiate the deal. And our next meeting will have President Zelensky and President Putin and probably me. I'd like to focus on doing our country, but I get these interruptions. I've solved 6 wars in 6 months when you think about it. And that's from Pakistan to India. That was going to be a terrible one. Planes being shot down. That was getting ready to flare, and then nuclear powers and so many others. And,
well, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Congo, Rwanda. In fact, did you see that Hillary Clinton yesterday said that if you got this deal done and not capitulate to Putin, that she would nominate you for the Nobel Peace Prize?
If President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, that was very nice. I may have to start liking her again. I will say this. This is an important meeting. The second meeting potentially is more important. It could be more finality. It's not for me to negotiate for Ukraine, but I think I have a pretty good idea what they'd like to see and what's good and what's not good. But more importantly than the deals and all of the things
I'm sorry, but bro, that's all it took. That's all it took. She's got a body count of over 60 people. I mean, she has her own term. They got Clinton. And all it took was one compliment, and you're cool with her now, bro? That's it? One compliment? Oh, I would do it if you get the deal done, knowing that motherfucker ain't getting the deal done. We knew you weren't getting shit done today. Even the biggest Trump supporters knew that the war wasn't ending today. We all knew that shit. We all knew it.
Been talking about other lives. They've lost right now 5,000 to 7,000. They're losing a week, mostly soldiers, Russian and Ukraine soldiers. Think of this. You have Russian soldiers.
Yeah, she said if he can get the deal done in Russia with Putin, then she would nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. He goes, wow, she said that? Maybe I'll have to like her again. That's all it took. That's all it took.
Of Ukrainian soldiers, they're losing on average 5,000. Last week, they lost 7,011 soldiers and some other people where bombs were lobbed into Kiev and other places. It's something that has to stop. And I'll tell you what, if I didn't win this election, and if I wasn't doing this, you right now could be in a third world war. That was heading to a third world war,
You've said before that we got a lot of BS thrown at us by Putin. What is it about an in-person meeting that makes you think he's not going to, in your words, give you BS? I mean, how are you going to trust him because you can look across the table at him?
Well, look, I've known him very well. I had a very good relationship despite the Russia hoax. It was a hoax. And that really made the relationship much harder. But I had a good relationship with him. We had no problems. We had, country that we were getting along. We were doing fine. We have tremendous potential. Russia has very valuable land. We have tremendous potential to have a great relationship, a great business relationship. But we couldn't do it because of the crooked, demented people that created the phony Russia. And I told him, I said, Vladimir, there's no way we're going to make a deal. You know that. He said, well, I think it's going to be tough. I said, no, not tough. It's impossible. Because I have wise guys that created a phony deal. And until that settled up, that was the hoax, the big hoax, one of the greatest hoax. I think we have a lot of others that we can talk about, all by the same group of very, very bad Americans. I'm going to be nice when I say it that way. But we have a potential to do some very good things at this meeting. One of the things I think we'll discuss, and again, it's about Ukraine, but we have nuclear treaties to discuss. We have a lot of things to discuss that normally would be something that would come naturally, but it's not so natural now because of Ukraine.
You had Steve Witkoff go talk to Vladimir Putin, so there has to be some sense that you have going into this that you're going to have something, because otherwise, you said you'd go in and look him across the table and be able to say in the first 2 minutes whether it was going to happen or not.
I'll be able to tell very quickly whether or not this will be a good meeting. A good meeting really is more, in my opinion.
He clearly could tell it didn't last very long. So either he got what he wanted or Putin wanted what he wanted. One of them weren't budging, or both. Or they both totally agreed and were being duped.
Opinion scheduled to be the second meeting, but I won't be happy about that. I'm not looking to waste a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of money doing this. I want to get it done, and I want to really stop them this week, not next week. So we're going to have a second meeting. Now, it could be that if this meeting's bad enough, that I'm gone.
1986, Reagan walks away from Reykjavik with Gorbachev, and it was a strong moment. I mean, you could foresee if it goes down a bad path, you get up and walk away.
I'm not doing it based on history, based on anything else. I'm doing it based on a deal. If we make a deal, great. If I see that there's no hope of making a deal, I'm out of there. It's over. I'm out of there. This isn't my war. This is Biden's war. This is Biden screwed this up, just like he did with Afghanistan, with that horrible retreat. And the way he did it, I'll never forget it. That was the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. Well, this is Biden's war, too. This is a war that should have never happened. I saw it for 4 years. It didn't happen. And I understand Putin. It was the apple of his eye. Ukraine was the apple of his eye. There was no way he was going to move on it. I'll tell you, you have a very similar thing with President Xi of China and Taiwan. But I don't believe there's any way it's going to happen as long as I'm here. We'll see. He told me, I will never do it as long as you're president. That's President Xi told me that. And I said, well, I appreciate that. But he also said, but I am very patient, and China is very patient. I said, well, that's up to you, but it better not happen now.
These guys, both Xi and Putin, have said things before that they didn't live up to, or they did other things. And, when you were campaigning, you said, we can solve this right away, 24 hours. You got into it. You've explained it's much more complex. It's tougher, right?
So I thought this would be, I settled 6 wars recently, like Congo was going on. This was with Rwanda, was going on for 31 years, and I got it settled. We have a case with, take a look at Cambodia, take a look at so many. And the most difficult ones turned out to be easy. The easiest one, which should be this one, turned out to be the toughest.
And that's because of Putin?
Well, it's because of a lot of things. It's because of personalities that don't get along very well. I mean, President Zelensky and President Putin did not get along. Again, I inherited this. I came in, I got very angry at people yesterday. I came in and I said, what the hell? I inherited this mess. I inherited a mess from Biden with the economy, with inflation, with high taxes, with so many other things.
You've said that there could be very severe consequences if Putin doesn't do a ceasefire, if this falls apart. But you've also in the past said that sanctions you don't think really affect Russia because he's gotten around him before. What does severe look like?
Severe. Let me just tell you one other one. Cambodia, Thailand. It was starting. And I got it right at the beginning. But many people are dead right along the border. And I happened to be talking to one of the two parties, and I said, "Are you guys going to war again?" Because they've been fighting for, as they said, 500 years. I said, "How long are you fighting?" Said, 500 years, on and off, right? I said, "This is not good." I got that one solved. So we're going to see what happens. We're going to have a meeting today. Hopefully it'll be good. If it's bad, if it's something I don't see a future in, I'm a deal guy. If it's something I don't see a future in, I'm gone. I'll leave. I don't have to do a press. I'll just say, not going to be a deal. I'm out of here. And I go back.
That's it. That's what he just said it. Everybody's playing dumb. Like, I don't know. He just said, we don't get a deal. I'm a deal guy. I'm gonna dip out. I don't have to do a press. I don't got to do nothing. I'm out. I either want the deal or I'm out. That's what he just said.
To the United States, and I preside over the economy that wait till you see what's happening with all of this. You know, we have trillions of dollars pouring in. Even people that were against tariffs only because they didn't understand tariffs, they didn't even know what a tariff was. You had economists that didn't even know what a tariff was. They're all my biggest fan now. They're also, you see it. We have an economy that's going to be the best ever, I think, in the history of our world.
When you land in Air Force One, it sends a different signal. It's a pretty good way to travel. And we're going to land in this base in Alaska that's going to have a lot of military equipment there on the ground.
Yo, whoever keeps hitting the unlike button over and over, why are you doing that, bro? What is wrong with you? You're doing it on the super chat and you're taking one away and adding it on the thing. Like, just leave, bro. Just get out of here. We don't want your like. We don't care. Go on. Get.
It's pretty impressive.
Well, I think people are going to be impressed, and I hope your cameras can look at it. It's a very big base, and it's got a lot of great equipment. We have F-22s. We have the B-2 bomber that everyone saw. How about that? 36 hours back and forth. Not a screw was loose. Not a plane went down, even from a mechanical standpoint. If you take a look at the last raid into Iran, it was the helicopters, Jimmy Carter. What a shame that was, that whole thing. And then they ended up taking our great patriots as prisoners. And it was the exact opposite. This was a flawless campaign.
And it sent a message to the world.
It sent a message. And that plane is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. But when you land, you'll see the B-2s. You'll see, I think the most beautiful fighter jet in the world is the F-22. You're going to see F-35s all over the place. It's a big base. You're going to see lots of equipment. And I hope your cameras can cover it because it will be very impressive.
Mr. President, thanks for the time. Thanks for the ride. And we'll talk to you on the way back. Just deplaned. We're in Alaska, Air Force One here on the ground. Just minutes before President Putin is scheduled to land, they rolled out the red carpet, literally the red carpet, and a number of B-2s and F-22s here in Alaska.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News.
I'm going to show you this. I got a video of the encampment being, this is live. The homeless encampments in D.C. being destroyed. I haven't watched it. I saw part of it. But let's see what they're doing in there. Let's see what they're doing in D.C. Let's see what they're doing in D.C. I'll probably be talking a lot over this one because I don't know what will be really said. What are they doing? I can't see it, so I don't know what's going on. So they're just taking them down. There's tents being taken down, thrown away. My question is, where are all the people, like, who owns this stuff? Where'd they go, or what are they doing with these people? That's my question. Like, where are the people at? They're showing the takeover, but where's the people? You know? Chat, what do y'all think about this? The garbage truck.
There's no real plan. You can't just dump people. These are human beings. I don't know. I heard somebody on the news yesterday saying something about how he was another man who was living on the street, and he said, well, these people are just afraid of poor people. And maybe that's what it is. But, you know, when it comes down to it, in the end, we're all going to leave with nothing.
I get that, lady, but it is a sore in the eyes to see tents on the side of the road, people pissing and shitting on the ground, and graffiti. I'm sorry. Why don't you ask one of them to come live with you?
We gotta talk to you, sir, if you don't mind. If you don't mind again.
I'm just saying.
Tell me again what you saw.
I'm playing devil's advocate here because I feel bad for both sides of the spectrum. Clearly, the people are homeless and they need help, but clearly, the people we also, as people that don't want to see that shit. So there's two sides to it. Both are valid in a weird way.
I saw park police showed up, then a trash truck showed up, and they dismantled her tent, threw it in the back of the trash truck, and just rolled away. You know, I mean, that's like say it's a sinking feeling, you know, because you know we have no place to go. You know, like I say, I've been on both sides because I tell Melanie, you know, and it's not something you've all.
He gets it. Like he just said, he's been on both sides of the fence. It sucks. It sucks on both sides. There's no winner to this.
Cheerful, yeah. And if you're not going to give them an option, just don't say tell them to leave immediately. You know, without giving them an option. You know, it's cruel, heartless. You know, dehumanizing a person, making them feel less than. You know, make them feel like you're better than. You know, everybody has a story. You know, what got me out here was my drug use. You know, but I give God the glory. I overcame it. You know, but that's what got me out here. Everybody has a story.
You said something so little that people.
Yeah, something so little. I washed my sheets and pillowcases, and to lay down when I laid down on that mattress with clean sheets, man, it just felt so good. You know, just a little thing. You know, and most, you know, until you learn, experience using cardboard for a mattress. You know, I mean, you can't like saying goes. If you have walked a mile in my shoes, don't judge me. You know, like I say, it's not something we volunteered for. It's just circumstances we ended up in, and I'll keep it on me. I had to change my.
Hey, I agree, man. Everybody sees life through their own eyes, bro. We all see the same thing. We could all look at one object, and every one of us can describe it differently, even though we're looking at the same thing.
Thank you. The way I thought, you know, what can I do to try to get myself out of this situation instead of just, instead of just hanging around, you know, doing nothing all day, you know, what can I do to help myself? What am I trying to do to help myself? You know, like I say, it's the right. I had to have the right mindset. Until then, I was just, you know, just feeding my addiction, you know, to kill the pain. Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen now? Because right now, the City Health Human Services said they already came by, they talked to folks, but they're not saying, hey, we got a ride right now for you. What happens now?
That's just it. That's just it. You know, don't if you're not going to give me an option, let me alone. You know, I'm doing the best I can with what I have. You know, but don't just like I say, give me an option. You know, just don't tell me to move. You know, or you're going to threaten to throw me in jail and make me pay a fine, which I can't pay anyway.
That's crazy right there. If that's really what's going on, how can any of us, I don't care what side you're on, think that's okay? Like, we don't know the story behind that guy. Like he said, was he supposed to just go get, like, what if he can't physically do it? You're gonna put him in jail? It's America, dude. There's people living in sewers in Las Vegas. What is going on?
It's hard. You know, it's very hard.
I'm glad you overcame drug addiction. It takes a lot of power, a lot of work.
Say give God the glory.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. You know, like I say, even though I'm clean a long time, you know, I still get those urges. You know, but I just choose not to do them that day. But God gives me the strength to do it. It's not Robert. It's not Robert doing it. It's him doing the work. You know, not me.
Thank you, Mr. Massey. I appreciate you talking with us. Thank you.
Hey guys.
And these are Robert's helpers.
Hey
If
guys.
you want to film them, you can do it too.
But no autographs.
Can't guarantee.
Hey guys.
Now this is so dear.
Health and Human Services still know. Health and Human Services, they're still not here.
They didn't.
I don't think they're gonna.
They're not.
Because they came when they sent the notices or put the notices.
Yeah, they put the notices up yesterday morning, and then the FBI, Secret Service, and U.S. Prosecutors, like when federal agents came, and we showed them the note, they coordinated and had no problem, and they left. NBD came today and like they kind of laughed at me, and I told them, we didn't do that, we don't care.
You probably asked. But it's been cleared.
Oh, the boyfriend that works with not even his phone right now, but so I need to coordinate with him before I get it finalized. There's Georgetown Ministries that's trying to store my stuff for like almost a day.
Bro, she have no idea, bro. But it's state, it's this state order. This isn't federal.
Start coordinating the final plan. I think I was telling you either last night or this morning. We do have like an idea of where we're going to go.
Exactly.
Bro, she got a freaking beard on her chin. She got stubbles. I ain't gonna lie, look at them stubbles. See where my thing's at right there. Look at them stubbles.
948.
Damn, she growing a goatee like damn Deltron.
And you're too handsome dropping these things right there. But I love what's on your chest. That tells me everything I need to know, and I'm right with you there.
They just took my pen away.
When were you at MLK? When were you at MLK?
We left in March. They kicked us all out of there. And then from there we came here.
Yeah. And that's her tax.
It's like they kicked us out of our homes. Bitch, you're in a fucking tent on the side of the highway, bitch. Jeez, you couldn't have found anything a little more creative? I'm sorry. This is hard for me to feel for these people, man. They're dumb as shit.
Oh. Yeah. Yep. They backed the trash truck up, you know, park really
Yeah, bro. Look at her forehead. Look at her chin. Oh, I know. But man, you couldn't have found a better place than the side of the fucking highway. Look at this. They're literally on the side of the highway. You couldn't have found a better place. Like, bro, I swear to you, if I had to go find myself a place to live or something, I sure as shit ain't packing up right in front of the fucking local fucking coffee shop. This is crazy, bro. I can't feel bad, bro. These people are all, look at her, him, or whatever that is. All types of effed up. Just sitting there in public. I don't know, man. Like he said, it goes both ways. I feel bad for for them, but my God. Ugh. High score for the city.
Contact anyone. If you weren't right here by your stuff, you ain't gonna advocate for it.
Exactly. So I'm going to the woods, bro.
You were afraid to leave because you didn't know they were going to come back.
Go to the woods. Exactly. Why don't they go to the woods? They can't find a wooded tree area. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, you're too much. I like love names, definitely Melanie.
Too many syllables. Too many syllables.
I just don't get it.
All right.
I used to live above, but
I
I'm
think
down.
so. So Stephanie Fox
And
5.
so I'm very much in.
I'm sorry, and I did keep my promise. We didn't put you on TV when he put me, so he had me stand in front of your tent, your area, so that we didn't see you in the background.
But you did put her on TV.
Nothing.
Yo, she said, I stood by my promise. We didn't put you on TV. Blase. Bitch, you're on. He's on TV, bro.
Like last night, like I was giving one interview, and all of a sudden there's like 20 microphones and 10 cameras, like all surrounding me. Like it was like overwhelming. And I was like, good morning, I'm going to sleep. Do you love? Yeah, I know you're just doing your job. My dear friend. Like I said, it's like, you're not going to know that it's starting to bother me. Why don't you go for skinny? No, I appreciate it. I appreciate that you're out here reporting on it like this.
Oh dear.
It's a little unjust. You know what I mean? Like if we were given to the 18, like my boyfriend works for like Monday through Friday, so we were going to wait till the weekend because we thought we had to Monday. You said this guy wasn't even here. He wasn't. He came like right after they threw his stuff away. The dump truck was still here with his tent in it when he rolled up.
What about the girl right here?
She was there. She was there, and she was already packing her stuff, getting ready.
Boom, getting bored of hearing these fucking victims, bitch.
Yeah, that's just like
So
this.
bad for him.
Like I said, until you got the violence.
Say fuck him. This bitch ruined it for everybody. I used to give a shit till I heard this white trash talk.
Weapons. I'm not out here robbing people.
I'm sorry.
And also not like it's cherry case either. Regular
I care.
And they're unwilling to listen to our story. They're just discard us. We're less than. We're the outcasts.
No, bro. Well, listen to your story, dude. Let's just do it not on the side of the road.
The club, whatever, where you want to go.
Come on.
So you think.
Where'd your fucking common sense go, homie? You talked elegant, now you're talking stupid.
Hey, Stephanie, can I talk to either Kenny or Jack? Hey, Kenny, Stephanie. All right, so we're here. They took down what was here.
Ryan, you kind of remind me of the sweat that's right under the strap of that dude's book bag right there. I bet you if you sniffed right there, that's what Ryan's upper lip smells like. That book bag right there, that strap right there, all that sweat there. Yeah, that's what Ryan's upper lip be smelling like.
I have a publisher.
Yes.
So I always start.
Well, honey, that's wonderful.
Have you ever been to Costa Rica? You have? It's just because
Hey, you said it, not me. Hey, Dale, you said it. Dale said it, not me. I was gonna say you got some ashy ass elbows, but they're not as bad. But you said it, not me, bro.
Oh, very much.
Yeah. Train wreck. Nice, buddy. What's up, Alienated? How you doing, bro? I opened up an ate the RS 1000 before, and it's 32% also. I went from ashy to classy. Steel. Wait for my downfall. This dude's nipping like a mug. There's that guy from Socialized last night. Yo, I'll tell you how funny. Nah, I can't tell it on here. Damn. I can't do it on here. Does anybody remember when Biden used to grab all the nipples? Y'all remember that stuff? Remember that dude, Sean, last night? Hold on. Mr. Willis, you remember that guy last night with the wife beater on? What the hell did I see, dude? The things you will never unsee in life. Yeah, bro, little pepperoni nip. He was flicking the hell out of those things to give us a little fucking hit, dude. These people are screwed up. Don't worry, Marley. We're almost done, dude. We're almost done. Should I tell the story or is it too much? Sean, is it too much? Look, bro. Speaking of nipples, look at this dude's nipple. I gotta tell the story. Where's my chat? I want to see you guys. I need to hear you guys talk. All right. So last night I'm gonna tell it. I'm gonna do the best I can, and then I'm gonna end this bitch. Cause that black dude's nipples remind me of this little white boy nipples. All right, so we're sitting there and we're on one of the more darker discords that you could go on. Now, we were purposely on this discord so we could do a little bit of we can let off a little steam, we call it. You know, maybe a little bit of trolling, let's say. So anyways, we're in a room and this person comes in on camera with a little teeny tiny white wife beater, long hair. Bro, I don't know, man. All I could say is it was totally a dude trying to be a chick, right? And just sitting there showing off his nipples like this, like for real. Like he wasn't playing, like it wasn't like some sort of skit. It wasn't a joke. It was, it was so fucking gross. And he's just laying there like it was some sort of like, I don't even know how to explain it, but like that's what our world's coming to. Our world's coming to like, people feel empowered enough to go on camera like that. Like, bro. That's what I was trying to tell the one dude. Like, oh, remember Sean, homie, was trying to say, oh, well, you guys did that when you were kids. No, Sean Willis. Is there any way in hell we would have saw that when we were kids on the internet? Come on, keep it 1,000. Is there any damn way we would have ever seen that? No way. No effing way, bro. Yeah, dude. There's no way we would have seen that on the internet. No. To say that was that like the shit was the same back then as it is now, you got to be out of your mind. Like dead seriously out of your mind. I don't know, bro.
Led by the wrong spirit.
I wish I could tell you all the story the way I would on Discord. But we're on YouTube. I don't know how to say it correctly. I don't know how to tell you the story without getting in trouble. We were trying to find some bikini pics, bro. Yeah, nowadays you open up the Sports Illustrated swimsuit and there's dudes in that bitch. You don't know which one's a dude or a chick. Crazy. You don't even know the difference, dude. What's the difference? This is a bum ass video. Show some like encampment. Why didn't they show all the trash and the encampment and all that shit? You know? I don't get it. I don't know why they didn't just show that shit. Why? Speaking of bikini pics, can't we get Ivanka in a bikini put up there right there? Ivanka in a bikini? I mean, I just don't see the point. Oh, good. I don't see the point. I know who she is. I just don't see the point. We can look at Ben Shapiro's sister's fat titties. I'm done watching these motherfuckers, bro. Take that shit and throw it away, bro. That shit was trash. That was trash. How am I gonna sit there and defend that bullshit? I felt bad for homie. He was making sense and stuff. But then you see you let someone talk long enough, and then you see like, bro, their mental illness comes out real fast. You know, I'm good on that. I'm good, bro. Who we got left in here? Yeah, the camera's all over the place, just like them people. They never showed the encampment for a reason. There's definitely was an agenda behind that. It was probably super trash. They weren't going to show it. You know? Hey, man, I want to see the city get cleaned up. I wish people could get cleaned up at the end of the day. Bro, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten yet. I can't wait to smash on some food as soon as I end this. It's food time. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end this. This was what I call a really weird stream. I would have to say. I didn't really care for it. I might go live, I want to go live late at night and do like a wild stream. And I also want to do a morning stream. I'm just trying to get the motivation to give a shit to do it anymore, to be honest. But I had a good time chilling with you guys. I got to take a piss. I'm going to eat some food, go on to Discord, take over every blue city. Yeah, Roger. I mean, they need to. I be trying to tell them, bro. They did it. I hear you, bro. You know? That whole Trump thing was a waste, bro. I don't know. Somehow I made 2 hours of content out of a 12-minute damn press conference. Good enough for me. But Roger, it was good seeing you, bro. It was nice meeting you. If you haven't been through here already, I hope you like, share, subscribe, whatever the hell people do these days. Alien man, what's up? Love you, bro. Sean, thanks for sticking around. Deltron. Yeah, man. Did you hear Tom McDonald's new song? The Devil's a Democrat. It's a pretty good song, I'm not gonna lie. The new Tom McDonald shit's it's not that bad of a song, honestly. But yeah, man. I don't know what else to say. I'm pretty disappointed in everything in the wrap up. I've been disappointed in this everything, to be honest. We need to do better. Hey, I'm all about America. Let's make America great again. Without Trump, maybe. I don't know. But that being said, y'all have a good night. Happy Friday. Peace out, y'all. God bless. Tom McDonald and not too bad. Hey, it is what it is. Nah, he did a pretty good song, bro. Did a pretty good song. Honestly. Peace. Peace. Let me end this bitch, for fuck's sake. Peace.